When Abraham Lincoln stood here 160 years ago today, the United States was a nation of 34 million people. 25 million lived in the North and 9 million in the South. 5 million lived in freedom in the South and 4 million in bondage. Abraham Lincoln knew a great storm was coming. He knew that the Union was going to fracture, and he knew that there would be a great and costly war. But the idea that had to be saved is the idea that breathed life into a new nation in 1776. And the idea was the most radical expression of human dignity and freedom ever put on paper by the mind of man, that all men are created equal and are endowed by a creator with inalienable rights, amongst them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And in the great war that would follow, that would kill 600,000 people on the shores of our land, Lincoln reconsecrated the idea of America, the only nation in the history of the world founded not on ethnicity, not on territory, not on land, but by an idea. Which is why when somebody takes the oath of citizenship, they are as much an American in that instant as a descendant of the Mayflower. One of the great battle captains of the Civil War was William Tecumseh Sherman. In 1861, he was a colonel in the Union Army. And in his letters, he was deeply skeptical of the potential leadership of a backwoods barbarian, as he was described, from Illinois, uneducated, unsophisticated, and not up to the task. With months left in the war, but the outcome clear, Abraham Lincoln, in his second inaugural address, talked to the country not of retribution, not of an imposition of cruelty, but he said it would now be time to bind up the wounds of the nation, to care for the widow and the orphan, with malice towards none and charity towards all. And when he was martyred weeks later, Sherman, who had last seen him with Grant at City Point in Virginia, the great Union Army headquarters, was asked to reflect on Abraham Lincoln. And what he said was that he had met all of the great men of the world, the kings, the emperors, the industrialists, but he had never met a man who possessed more of the qualities of greatness and goodness than Abraham Lincoln. When we think about this despicable and vile chapter in our history, we must do as Lincoln instructed from this very spot 160 years ago. Have faith. This season of malice and meanness and indecency will pass. A president not long remembered was James Buchanan, who, if he were with us today, would be grateful for Donald Trump because at long last, for the 15th president, the title of worst president in the Union's history is again up for grabs. We don't remember the incompetence that preceded the greatness and the restoration of our greatest president, because we are an optimistic nation and an optimistic people who understand at our core that our best days are yet to come. And this is our responsibility. We are Americans, and there is no inheritance that is richer, greater, more powerful than that. It has been bequeathed to us through sacrifice and suffering that beggar the imagination. And what we are asked to do is to be stewards of that great gift that has been handed down through the generations, to preserve it and to strengthen it. The great act of optimism in American history was Lincoln's insistence at the height of Civil War, where the outcome was by no means certain, that the unfinished dome of the Capitol be completed, that under it, the government of the United States, government of the people, by the people, for the people, would be reconsecrated. And under that dome is a sacred place. It's where we send to represent us people who should feel great privilege for the opportunity to be part of the story of America. We see an abdication of duty, of responsibility, a forfeiture of decency, and a basic misunderstanding of concepts like right and wrong. But this will pass. And all of us here are called to action, not passivity. We're called, as Lincoln reminded us 160 years ago, and his words ring through the ages, that right makes might. And we're called to do our duty to participate, to fight, but when that fight is won, to understand what will always be true is this: whatever our differences may be, we are all Americans, and we are bound together and have more in common than ever can be sundered from us. And that's the mission of this organization, and we look forward to fighting with you to make this country great again.